Was progress really made today? Let's ask Marc Rotenberg. He is the executive director of the Electronic Privacy Information Center. It is focused on civil liberties in the e-world since 1994. Rotenberg also teaches privacy law at Georgetown University. He joins us now from Washington. Marc Rotenberg, you listened to the testimony, you listened to some of the responses from Senator Franken. Did they stake out their positions in any detail that would make people stand up and take notice?
Well, I think they did. This is an important issue for lots and lots of consumers. There's great benefit, of course, in being able to get access to location data, knowing where you are, knowing where a local restaurant is or movie theater. But there's some genuine privacy concerns, and I think Apple set that off a couple weeks ago when people realized that the iPhone was storing a lot of this location data. So today we had this hearing in Washington. Senator Franken was chairing a new committee on privacy, got Apple in, got Google in, and asked good questions and pushed them a bit to see what they were going to do to respond to these concerns.
What would you like to see the industry do?
Well, I think the industry is making progress. If you listen carefully to the comments today, you heard both Apple and Google talk about new privacy techniques, limiting the amount of data that they're collecting, giving more control to their customers. That's a good starting point, but I think Congress has a role to play as well. We probably need to update some of these federal privacy laws. We have privacy laws for telephone networks and for email, but we don't have privacy laws for these new location-based services. So I suspect that over the next few weeks, the next few months, Congress will actually be looking more closely at some of the current laws and trying to think about ways that they could be updated.
Would these new privacy laws cost money?
They shouldn't. In fact, if they're done well, they should reduce cost on both sides. They should reduce risk to consumers, that their personal information will be misused, which is the risk of identity theft. Consumers pay a lot of money today because of identity theft and financial fraud. I think they could also reduce cost on the business side, because one of the big concerns that business has today is with security breaches. Both Epsilon and Sony are looking at enormous costs right now following from some very big data breaches. And I think good privacy laws could actually reduce the likelihood that those kinds of events will happen in the future.
Is this something that can be done just in the United States? This sounds as if you'd have to enact some kind of consistent legal framework around the world.
Well, you do, in fact, need to think about what's happening in other countries. The companies are global. The markets are global. People move their phones all around the world. And I think, of course, there are going to be different approaches in different parts of the world. But it's very interesting. If you look, for example, in Europe, where they look at these new technologies and think about new privacy developments, there is already an effort underway to update the European privacy laws, particularly in the communications field. So there have already been efforts in Europe to address some of these concerns about location data that are now being considered here in the United States.
How long before we get some kind of resolution, Marc?
Well, it's one of those problems I don't think we're ever going to solve completely. But I think updating the privacy laws will be a good job for the Congress. I think it could happen as early as this year. There are hearings this week, next week. There'll be discussions on through the summer. Eventually we'll get some legislation and probably some new protections.
Marc Rotenberg from the Electronic Privacy Information Center, thank you very much. Coming up.